biblical days, there were about 40 places where you could cross over the Jordan River from Moab, Ammon, Gilead into Israel and back. In our time, we have only 3 places to do that. So we were zigzagging. Up north on the Israeli side, down south on the Jordanian side, and all along the way we were looking for places to stop and pour some of the balm of Gilead that we have purchased at the lowest place on earth, around the Dead Sea, and to mingle it with salt, with tears, and to pray into the healing of that wounded rift.
It's really exciting to be here today at Guy's farm because this is the balm of Gilead. It's just beginning to bloom for the summer months. And as someone who was born in the mountains of Gilead and my descendants are from there, both on my mother and my father's side, it is just a real appreciation for this. And we know that Jesus himself is that balm. He is the one who has restored the nations, and he is the one who has commissioned us to go throughout the nations of the world and to reconcile man to God. It's just incredible. And to just have in the back of our minds and to have the actual substance of the balm of Gilead with us is incredible. And I remember last year when Guy brought us here, and as Guy took his knife and slit the bark open, Orna was just undone because the aroma of the balm of Gilead just took over the atmosphere. How exciting was it for me to find out from Hermana that there was actually a farm that was growing the balm of Gilead? It's been 2,000 years since they were able to find it. By the time we arrived here, there was 10,000 trees. And as Orna said, we were about to begin our zigzagging trip up and down the wounded Rift Valley. And you know the verse in Jeremiah chapter 8, verse 22. But I want to start with verse 18 because it's talking about God here, and he says, "My sorrow is beyond healing. My heart is faint within me. Behold, listen, the cry of the daughter of my people from a distant land. Is the Lord not in Zion? Is her king not within her? Why have they provoked me with their graven images, with foreign idols? Harvest is past, summer is ended, and we are not saved. For the brokenness of the daughter of my people I am broken. I mourn, dismay has taken hold of me. Is there no balm in Gilead? Is there no physician there? Why then has not the health of the daughter of my people been restored?" We continued on our journey and headed towards the bridge to cross over into Jordan.
On our first day in Jordan, we have arrived at a Dead Sea hotel in one of the hottest days in my life. So I do not remember a lot of what was said, not even by me, which is why I'm going to read from my notes and have Briskila respond to it when you can refresh my memory. At a certain point, Rania asked me, is Israel really afraid to approach God directly? And I think it's because I shared about Naomi not being able to go to the Redeemer in the story. In a way, she didn't need Ruth to do that. The Torah makes a provision for her because she could go to the elders in the gate and appeal for her case. Also, she knew Boaz. She knew he was a kinsman redeemer. She did not do that. And so Rania asked, why are you not going as a nation directly to the Redeemer? Do you really need Ruth to do that? Because that's what I explained. And my answer was, let's listen to the story of the book of Ruth. She always refers to God as the one who had bereaved her and taken from her. This is the kind of relationship we as a nation have with God. At this point in the story, she is not a Naomi yet. She is still a Mara, meaning bitter, provocative, rebellious. Ruth accompanies her with a lot of patience, and there is something in the way, in her relationship with Boaz, that softens something in Naomi's heart. And we as a nation watch the relationship, the truth, all over the world have with the Redeemer. Wow. They tell us he is the Jewish Redeemer. It's very hard for us to perceive it, but we watch it.
Wow.
And eventually it softens our hearts. And for me to realize there are Arab Ruth who worship my Jewish Messiah. I think there was something about Ruth that taught us we can trust men. We can trust men in authority, and we can trust who they say is their Redeemer. But we still needed to go through something. So do you remember what you asked me at that point?
I do. I asked you if you were willing at this point to cross into the unknown, to go from what was familiar to you into something that no one knew what it would be.
Because I remember telling you that I tried, and what I find there is a lot of loneliness, which is a very familiar feeling, yet very uncomfortable. It has been my personal companion for many years, and God had touched it up to a certain point, but now that you're asking me to cross into the unknown, it surfaces again. And I could tell that this unknown to me will be known to you, all of you there.
Even when you're talking about this and you didn't know what it would be like to cross into the unknown and the loneliness that you would have to experience, or thought that you would have to experience.
Worse.
Yes.
Yeah.
The truth and the compassion that began to come out of Gigi was just so amazing towards you.
I was so trying to be inside myself and to connect. That was the struggle, and to even give names to what I'm feeling or going through. But I do remember hearing a soft, tender cry, a quiet one.
Because I think we realized at that point, because we were looking at you with such love and such anticipation, all we wanted to do was to surround you. And all of a sudden, it was like China carried the ingredient to allow you to see that in the place of your woundedness, in the place of the dryness, that someone was coming to begin to allow the rains of tears to just come and cleanse. And we said to her at that point, China, you are welcome here. You're welcome into Israel and into Jordan, and we need you here to, with your tears of your travail, to cause the waters to break.
Yeah.
And you had said something about that. You talked so profoundly about the wound for days before, for a few weeks before that. And this was the point where you said to us, I don't cry.
I think I explained that the source of tears for the Jewish nation has dried completely.
Yes.
And it's not like we don't cry. We cry as a nation. We cry about a lot because we have so many losses and suffering. But it's the cry of a bereaved widow. It's not the cry that Zechariah speaks of in chapter 12, where we will weep when we will realize who is the Messiah. It's not the cry of a bride whose heart may be wounded, but she knows she can cuddle in the bosom of her lover and to withdraw from his strength. We don't even know if he will wipe our tears. Because we're so used to not see him or hear him. It's been centuries since we've seen his faces, and we don't know how to turn to him as the lover of our soul. At this point, I remember Anya saying, but Israel is the one who walked out on him. It's not him turning his back like you're turning your back. And he's not letting go of you. He's restoring you. Look at you.
It was so evident to us in our love for you that it was time for the waters to break and for tears to begin to flow. So we gently asked you if you would just turn yourself towards her and towards what was going on in the spirit there.
That was so hard for me because I'm so used to orpas. And orpa means a neck. So used to people who love us and they go a certain way with us.
Yes.
But then, for whatever reasons, they turn the back.
It was such an important time for you to learn trust and for us to walk in the faithfulness of God, leaning on God for his identity to just come out of us. That's what it really was.
To come out of you towards me?
For you to see that the Lord is there.
Yeah.
And that you would be able to trust him through us.
Yeah.
And the tears began to flow in Gigi. The travail was coming and none of us could deny it. And we knew that the healing was coming through her travail, through her tears. And we wanted you to receive it without us putting our hands on it.
How did I react?
You began to weep. And you even told us in the middle of it, because we were still getting to know you, but we loved you. And then you're the one that said to us, I have been dried up for a long time. I don't weep like this. So it was the love of God coming over you. It was a precious time, which made us feel that this might be some type of a turning point, Orna.
Yeah, we didn't even know
No,
what's coming
no,
and how much I will need those tears.
yes. In Gigi's yielding, she began to cultivate your destiny. Her tears and her travail were cultivating and making a way, and peace started to come over you, actually. There was a new peace that was just beginning. You were still trying to figure out if you could trust.
Yeah.
But there was an opening. The water broke.